That's just an average. That's just an average. I had a number of people come into the board of revision hearings. What's a board of revision hearing? All you guys. I'll say this for the general audience. Board of revision hearings at the county level, any taxpayer can, they get that letter, they're ticked off, they can contest what the county has said that they have valued your property at. What I'd like to do is inform and educate them to redirect that emotion towards real solutions. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the biggest, easiest things to do in the state of Ohio to fix this problem, to fix it, and reduce the number of complaints, the hundreds of people who have showed up to board of revision hearings, the 600 or so that I'll be part of, all told from March through the rest of my tenure. You want to reduce that? You want to reduce the complaints? You want to take the wind out of the sails of a constitutional amendment to get rid of property tax altogether? What can you do? What's the fix for that? Amend an existing law. Homestead Exemption Act. Amending a law is a whole heck of a lot easier to do than crafting an entire new bill or coming up with an entire new formula or legislative solution. Homestead exemption amendment. So what do I mean by that? What's going to provide real impactful relief to the people who need it the most, the 95% who show up in board of revision hearings? Take the $25,000 benefit that currently exists and at least double it. Maybe go to $55,000, but go to 50 at the very least. Right now it's 25, 26, double that. Double it. That will provide meaningful help, meaningful relief, not BS relief, not fake relief, but real relief. Well, Mr. Kennedy, all fine and good, but how the hell are you going to pay for that? Right? Okay. Well, let's take a look at the numbers. Let's take a look at the numbers. If we kept the income eligibility where it is right now, which is too low in my book, you only qualify for a homestead, a lot of you know this, is if you have an income less Social Security, so Social Security is not part of the income, of $40,000 or less. Only then can you qualify. To me, that's too low. It's too low. But let's say you just kept it there and you doubled the benefit to, I don't know, $50,000. How much is that going to cost the state of Ohio? Well, around $247 million. That's not a small number. $247 million. But I want you to think about something. Numbers are numbers are numbers, and let me think. Could I justify spending $600 million on a new Cleveland Browns stadium? Oh, I can do this, and I can dance like this. This hurts a little bit, I shouldn't be doing that. But I can dance around and be very creative and find $600 million to help out a poor billionaire, right? Because he needs the help, not our seniors, right? And I will say this is another one I want you to take away from Mr. Kennedy. What are budgets? What are they? What are state budgets? State budgets, any budget, is a reflection of what we value, right? It's a reflection of what we value. What is the state of Ohio saying when we can justify $600 million to help out a billionaire? And, a flat tax. A flat tax across the board with 2.4, 2.5, regardless if you're making 40,000 or 2 million, you're paying the same state income tax. At a loss of probably close to $2 billion in my calculation of that, the state is giving away $2 billion to help out these guys over here. The richest, the wealthiest. State budgets are a reflection of what we value. Okay, I value these guys. What about these guys over here? Right, Strom, the 65 and older cohort, struggling to make ends meet, struggling to get by, deciding. I had several people tell me, John, can you point? I need food. Where are the food banks in Portage County? I need help. I can't, I'm behind in my property taxes. I've been delinquent now for the last year. The Community Action Council, they had money through the federal government to help out people looking for property tax relief. But that money went dry last summer. It's all gone. I was on that program. And now it's gone. But I'm over here in this group. State budgets are a reflection of what I value, of what we value. You're devalued. You are not valued. So, in my mind, we gotta flip that, right? We gotta flip it. We all have value. All of us have value. And when we have, a lot of societies, a lot of cultures place high value on, as the older you get, you're of higher stature, right? You're of higher value. Here in the state of Ohio, it's like it's diminishing returns. You have put in all of this money into things like property taxes over here. You have helped build the public schools in the great state of Ohio. By the way, one thing about that, 90% of all kids going to attending school are going to public schools. 90%. 10% choose to go to private. That's a choice. So I'm bringing that up to kind of segue into the other big situation behind the curtain here. Right? I would be remiss to talk about the true intent of a lot of the property tax fixes out there. Lawmakers in Columbus, and I'll single out my Republican friends here. They made no bones about it. Again, think about budgets are a reflection of what we value. School funding, public school funding, has been taking a hit. We're not going to fully finance Cup Patterson. We're going to cut it. We're not even going to come close to what Cup Patterson warranted. We need to put another $400 million into that to get up to the $800 million, which is what would be required to fully fund public schools. We're going to instead fund it about $250 or $300 million, if that. But what are we going to do about private? What are we going to do instead? We're going to up it. 500 million isn't enough. 1 billion isn't enough. 1.5 billion now. Public money. Public money being used to pay for these guys who didn't ask for it, don't need it. Didn't ask for it, don't need it, are now using public money to send their kids to private schools, Catholic schools, all the rest. And again, they don't need it, they didn't ask for it, but they're certainly taking it. And that money, that 1.5 will soon turn to 2 billion and more. This is a choice. You are making a choice as a parent to send your kids to private. You can send them to public, got all the benefits of the public school. You know, maybe you have a high achieving student. Maybe that would help increase the educational attainment and outcomes in that school by keeping your smart kid in the public. But instead, you took those public dollars as a voucher and went to a private, thereby depleting and defunding the public entity in your neighborhood even more, right? So it's a double whammy to public schools, isn't it? It's a double whammy, these vouchers. But John, I should have the choice to go to private. You do have the choice to go to private. No one's telling you how to spend your dollar. You've got a public right here. Right here. So that's it for this part of what I wanted to kind of go over, with a focus on the fix, which is right in front of us. Homestead Exemption Act, fix that, take care of the big problem that we have, which is seniors being taxed out of their homes. You take care of the homestead, you figure out a creative way to pay for it, whether you fund it double the amount or a little bit more than that, providing real impactful relief to our seniors. This problem doesn't completely go away, but a big chunk of it does. Do that first. Do that first. People that know me the best in Portage County know that this is exactly what I told Heidi Workman, Steve Demetrio, our two local state reps for Portage County, said, you guys make HB1 a property tax relief bill that amends the Homestead Exemption Act. And if you do that, you will solve the property tax issue largely. Then you take care of that. Do that right away. Do that in the spring of 2025. Be done with that. You know, wave, congratulate each other on doing the right thing for seniors. Then come back and deal with the big inequities with the way that we finance public schools in the state of Ohio. It's more complicated, but simplify it. When I talk to lawmakers about this issue, they say, well, John, it's a really complicated issue. It's we've got to slice and dice it in a lot of different ways, and it's really complicated. It's not complicated. It's math. And I tell you what, if the national average is that residences are paying 44% of the property tax burden. Why don't you try to shave something off of the property tax burden for residents here in the great state of Ohio from 66% to something 50% for starters? If you drop below 50%, that'd be great too. But get commercial entities to pay their fair share. I'm going to quickly pivot to another item that has also been on the agenda down in the State House. I've talked about a lot of the stuff that just happened with the state budget. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know this, Mr. DeWine did veto almost all of the property tax, what was packaged as property tax relief. They were terrible ideas, honestly. One of them was, we're gonna do better than kick the can. We're gonna kick the can down to the county. And Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kelly, and Ms. Lewandowski from the prosecutor's office, they all sit on this county budget commission. And because these property taxes are hard, it's really hard for us to grapple with at the state level. So we're just going to boot it down to these guys at the county level and let them deal with it. And let them do the clawback of money from the school districts. School districts, in our book, are overspending, and they're not good fiscal stewards of their budgets. They've got all this money that they're just wasting, and they're just, just running amok. No management, and there's very little transparency and oversight of these entities. So you, County Commission, you're going to be in charge of this, and you're going to examine those school district budgets, and you're going to see, well, if they're over by a certain percentage, they're carried over from the year before. You're going to claw that money back, Mr. Kennedy. You're going to claw back that overage, and you're going to package that as property tax relief for the people in your district. You're going to claw back that extra public school money. That's a solution. That's a joke. This is what they wanted us to do, and it was a serious policy prescription for quote-unquote fixing the property tax issue in the state of Ohio by putting it off on the shoulders of counties, all 88 counties across the state of Ohio. It would have provided, in reality, very limited relief to property tax folks, to residents. It would have amounted to just a snowflake of relief, not real transformative relief, not real impactful relief, but relief that they nonetheless could say, we fixed the problem. Nothing to see here anymore. We fixed this. We listened. That wasn't a fix at all. I wrote about it. I talked about it. A lot of people, other county treasurers across the state of Ohio disagreed with this as a policy solution. The county auditors, they had similar disaffection for this solution as well. And again, you have to look at intent here. What was the intent of doing this? If, their focus was solely on us scrutinizing public schools, not townships, not villages, not city budgets. not county budgets, one political entity, public schools. Why? Why? Because defunding public schools is the end game here. Every time you hear a politician in Columbus talking about a property tax solution, you should always look at it through the lens of, is this going to help or hurt public schools? 9 times out of 10, it's to hurt public schools. Don't forget that. Again, the stats are 90% of our kids in the state of Ohio are going to public schools. 10% are going to private. Why is all this public money being siphoned out of the public and redirected into the private? If privatization is your end goal, that's why. That's why. Right? Thank you. I'm going to talk about one other bill. I know I've talked here quite a bit, but I want you to walk away today thinking about what I just said there. Every time I hear somebody talk about a solution about property taxes in the state of Ohio, what is it going to do for public schools? Is it going to help or is it going to hurt? I'm going to talk about one other bill, HB 335. This is a bill out there. I think it's lawmakers' attempt to compete with the elimination of property taxes altogether. I think my Republican friends would like to be able to go back to their folks and say, well, wait a minute. Instead of maybe eliminating all of the property taxes, let's just get rid of what's called inside millage. I'm not going to bore you with all the ins and outs of inside millage. Inside millage is basically a percentage of your property taxes that is static. It's not the voted on. It's a certain small percentage of your property taxes that is meant to always provide a basic source, a minimum source of funding for schools, for roads, for EMS, for fire, all that stuff. If you eliminate inside millage, it's 1% of taxable value. That's what inside is. It's capped at 10 mils, which is the equivalent. I hate all this terminology. It's just to confuse people. But that amounts to it's capped at 1% of taxable value, and it's a stable source of revenue. What I said before. So, what's the impact if you lost just the inside millage portion of property taxes? It's devastating. It's devastating. If this bill was successful and got passed and the governor signed it, schools are going to lose 2 billion. 2 billion annually. 2 billion. 2 billion. Counties, 850 million. Cities and villages, 650 million. Total loss of 3.5 billion with a B. And a potential loss of 20,000 teaching jobs. You'd have to have cuts to law enforcement, fire, EMS, education, debt repayment that's tied to bonds. That would be, you'd lose that. It would force new taxes. It would force new taxes. You get rid of this and you're going to have to pay for it some other way, right? What are you going to do? You're going to Raise the income tax? No, we just created a flat tax, Mr. Kennedy. We're not going to raise that. We're not going to do that. Maybe for you guys down over here, but for us over here, we're going to be okay. You have counties, you have jurisdictions having no other choice but to do what? Do a levy. And you know what the most unpopular word in the state of Ohio is there? Oh, you need to do a levy for that, Mr. Kennedy. We need to add a levy. 2025, 2026. Tell you what, good luck. Where's Ravenna? Yeah, we know. What was it? 35 vote margin? 55. 55 vote margin to minimally support Ravenna Public Schools. Won by just 55 votes, thanks to you guys. Portage County, what would be the impact for Portage County if we lost inside knowledge? $12 million annually. Our budget right now, county budget, $68 million, a little shy of $70 million, 18% cut. Where are those cuts going to come? The county government. What's going to get cut? Right? Services that people need, JFS, things like that. I can see that getting cut. What's going to be the impact on our schools? Mr. Roberto, Aurora, 6.6 mil. If you lost inside village. Field, 4.8 million. Streetsboro, 3.9 million. Kent, 3.3 million. So you need new levies to pay for, to cover that loss. And here's the really dastardly thing that these guys included in the budget that was then vetoed by the governor. They said, county commissioners, Mr. Kennedy, not only can you claw back that overage money from the year before from these public schools only, but you know what else you can do? We're going to give you a new tool to use in the tool shed. Any voter approved levies, you guys can override them. How about that? Huh? They tried to sneak that one in, right? County commissioners, budget commissioners, me, Mr. Kelly, Ms. Lewandowski, we can take what you voted on locally, and approved locally, and we can say, not so fast. Nope, we're shooting that down. In my book, having the budget commissions, giving the budget commissions this kind of authority and ability to claw back overages. What are overages, by the way? That's a school, in my book, and a lot of our minds' book, is functioning well. They are good fiscal stewards of their monies. They carry over money because they've been so financially prudent in terms of their spending. And what do those schools do with the extra money? They reinvest it into more programming, more updates to the buildings. They can hire more staff. They can expand. They can grow. They can develop new curriculum, right? They need a better school. This is a better place to educate our young people. Ask Mr. Roberto, did Aurora just get this way in terms of like high level, high rank in the state and in the nation just by happenstance? Or was it intentional? Right? Was it intentional? Decisions were made, money was collected, and it was reinvested. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. A lot of our school districts can also be high achieving if we have extra money to reinvest, right? And success breeds success. And in my book, I'm a guy who looks at countywide. What is it that I want to see in terms of development? What's a benchmark of success? People are flocking to Portage County. There's a magnet, a draw to bring people into this community. Because of what? What are the things that bring people into any community? Thriving public schools. Schools that are doing very well. Schools that are producing great educations for our young people. Schools that are giving back. Schools are an economic driver for any community. You point to any community and say, well, that's a thriving community. I'll guarantee you the core of it is a high-functioning public school that is doing well because it's attracting people from county, but from all over, and you're like, well, I want to tell you what, I want to live in Ravenna. Ravenna's got a lot of good things going for it. It's got thriving downtown, it's the county seat, there's a lot of activity, and their public school is great. So I can live affordably, I got some extra cash, I got more discretionary income, and my kids are thriving in that public school there. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we deserve? Doesn't that make us all better? I think it does. So again, I know I sound like a broken record here. Two things. Fix homestead exemption. Fix it. Figure out a way to pay for it. We can do that in the state of Ohio. Value public schools. View public school success as an economic driver of our communities here. We do those two things. We look at every property tax fixed through the lens of, is this helping or hurting public schools? Then they will pay attention. But they're not listening. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Make them listen. We need to get them to listen to us. They messed up because they didn't listen at all. And now they're going to start back at they have a new property tax commission down in Columbus, which the governor created. And it really ticked off the current lawmakers because they said, well, this is why. We've been working on this issue for the last 2 years. We've studied this issue for the last 2 years. And apparently, the people at the local level, there's a disconnect. This is what Mr. Huffman said. This is what Mr. Huffman said after he was vetoed and they weren't able to successfully override it. He said, well, it just must be a communication breakdown between us and the folks at the local level. It's called listening. That's where the breakdown was. You never listened. You didn't listen to any of you. You didn't listen to any 65-year-old and older. Because had he done that, this would be an issue and there would be no push to amend the Constitution of the great state of Ohio to eliminate $24 billion in revenue through property taxes. Listen. Thank you. Yes.
Where is the money from the lottery and the marijuana? And the gasoline?
Exactly. We have money. We have money, Dolores. We have money. Dolores' question is a good one that we hear often. What about lottery money? We thought that was supposed to be used as a solution for property tax relief. We've heard, recently we heard about, hey, let's go after the rainy day fund. The rainy day fund. Let's use that. Yes.
Tell them how much money's in that rainy day fund.
Mr. Harrison, that's a great question. Was it 2.4? Was it 4 billion?
It's between $5 and $7 billion is a rainy day fund. They're waiting for it to rain, but it's raining on.
It's raining. It's raining. So, Mr. Harrison, for those at home who didn't hear, he said there's 5 to 7 billion in the state's rainy day fund. And then his follow-up was, it's raining in Ohio. And I couldn't agree more. If you want to find property tax relief, especially for our seniors, remember I mentioned that it costs about $250 million to finance homestead exemption relief, to pay it up from 26 mil to 50 some thousand, from 26,000 to 50 some thousand in terms of valuation decrease for you, for your property, which would be extremely impactful. That would cost $247 million. So we could keep going.
$247 million doesn't come to us individually. They get that money back.
They do. They do. They get the money back. That's where that 24 bill comes in. The 24 billion that they collect. So there are creative financing ways that you could provide relief first to seniors. Take care of seniors first. Budgets are a reflection of what we value. Seniors value. We value our seniors. Take care of them first.
And as Dolores mentioned, the lottery and marijuana taxes and all that. What about the money from the First Energy fiasco several years ago, perpetrated by Republicans?
Yeah.
Baker said first to kill old lawyers.
Right. So the question was about the First Energy scandal, the amount of money that taxpayers lost as a result of that scandal. How can we recoup some of that? We haven't recouped anything from that yet. I know that's still litigation, but how many more years do we need to wait on that to find some relief? I don't. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. In these board revision hearings for me, the clarifying moment is always like, I tell folks, hey, here's how you work with this phone number, here's your email address. Here's Steve Dimitro's phone number, here's his email address. You can reach out and contact them. 9 times out of 10, and I don't blame, again, the residents or the voters for not knowing. Most people do not know who the state legislators are. And the other thing that I try to tell them is, actually, if we all collectively paid more attention to what's happening at the state level, we would be better informed, we'd be better served. And because what happens at the state level impacts us more than any of the shenanigans that Trump is doing. Trump's doing a lot of bad crap. There's no doubt about that. And it's going to hurt us locally as well, and we're starting to see the impact of those cuts. But it's what they're doing in Columbus that impacts us at a higher degree, right? It's more impactful. But most people have no idea what our state legislature is up to. And it's my job to help connect the dots, right? Because the more informed we are, the more we can activate and get down there to Columbus by the busloads and lobby and push and cajole our state lawmakers into doing the right thing. I don't think they've seen or heard enough from us. They've heard just a little from us. And some of you in this room have done a great job in contacting your lawmaker and letting them know how unsatisfied you are with them and where you want them to be on these different issues. And I have said, I will rent out a bus of seniors and drive down to Columbus if they held a hearing on meaningful property tax reform. I will do that. I will do that. And I might not need just one bus. I might need like 6 buses to do that, because I think there's a lot of folks out there who want to be heard at the state level. And they will go down and say, Mr. Kennedy, do you still have a seat on that bus you keep talking about? Yeah. But you gotta hold a hearing. You can't sneak it into a state bill, so there is no hearing, which is what they did with this last thing. They didn't allow anybody to come down there and testify against all this crap that I've been talking about. It was all snuck in. There was no public debate. There was no hearing.
But even when
Is that democracy?
But when we do public debate and people show up, then they still are not listening. We've seen that in multiple bills that they've put forward, and they just are doing backwater deals here.
Yes. So even when we do show our face and they do hear us, they still do the same thing. And so my reply to that is, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing. This is what I tell my residents who come and talk. Well, John, they've not done a thing on this for the last 20-some years. Okay. All right. Do you know who you elected? Do you know who you elected? Do you know what their values are? Do you know the values of the people you put in office? If you can't answer that question, if you know nothing more about the person you're voting for on election day, if you know nothing about their value proposition, then shame on us, right? Right? So it can't be as easy as saying, okay, where's the R or where's the D? It's got to be, what are the core values of this person, right? What do they believe in? What are they going to fight for me? Are they going to stand up for seniors?
To do that, you need an educated public. And to get an educated public, you need to invest in schools.
Amen. Yes.
I'd like to ask this question by show of hands. How many people in here had public education? Oh, man. Well, congratulations, so did I. So guess what? This issue with public schools and property taxes started 50 years ago. There was a group who wanted to get public school. So every time you hear them say this famous word, it's messed up, it's screwed up, the kids aren't getting an education, I'm here to tell you something, it works. I'm a product of it. I had 2 grandbabies just graduated from Ravenna High School. One was 9th in the class, the other was on our honor roll 2, going to Kent State. It works, but they don't want it to work. They're telling you, and I'm going to say this, and I ain't hurt nobody's feelings, and I'm going to tell you the truth. The system wants all of us old folks to die, and they want uneducated children, so they can control them. That's what this is all about. And Mr. Kennedy, you were wrong. I'm gonna let you know something. You didn't receive any of that money. CAC got that money, and you helped the people of Portage County get that money in a quick, fast way when we had that property tax money. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, my friend.
I just want to bring it all back, when people call and they say they're having issues with property taxes or making their house payment, what resources are you offering for them to get connected with right away? Do you have, a list, do you have a case manager, what do you have?
You raised a question, a great question. What relief can we provide? What resources, what relief can we potentially provide? It's complicated, but it's not. I wish especially every senior that I talk to, I could find some pool of money. Last summer I could, because the Community Action Council had that money, and I was able to connect people to that. This year, it's slim pickings. The first thing that I do, I go to the auditor, and if the person has had a valuation done of their property, or they're scheduled to be in a board of revision hearing, we encourage them to then come in for a board of revision hearing so they can potentially reduce the valuation of their property. And that will, we just got through the first two collection cycles, and now delinquency is kicking in. Yeah. And I have reached out to the United Way. I have reached out to veterans groups. They are looking for money for some of the seniors who I've talked to. So there are some existing resources, but we've got to fund. It's a case by case thing, which isn't right. That's my long-winded way of telling you I am not satisfied with what we've done. Now, I will say that Matt Kelly, county auditor, and I have talked about, is there a pool of money that we could create? Is there a fund we could create at the county level to provide property tax relief for people, especially seniors? And so we're looking at that, and we are reaching out. I know he's reaching out to some veterans groups, but it's kind of piecemeal.
You have wraparound services that you can give to people, family community services, town hall too, community action council.
Of course. Right.
You have someone,
Yeah.
a panel that can, I guarantee you, because I worked in social services for 30 years, nonprofits, Summit and Portage,
Right.
that these two entities need to have wraparound services together.
You're exactly right to kind of reframe it for me. I was thinking property tax specific relief,
No,
but in terms of the whole human being,
correct,
and that's really what's at play here,
correct.
is the whole humans being impacted. It's not just property taxes, it's all the other things that have been kind of cut or dialed back in terms of funding now. So Community Action Council is a place that can provide some of the services that, could be helpful to a taxpayer. And beyond that, family and community services, Access Point. If you, for example, Access Point, I'm a type 1 diabetic. And residents of Portage County need to know this. If you ever ran out of insulin, or you couldn't afford your insulin, you get a hold of Access Point in Portage County, you'll never go without insulin. And I don't want to speak for them, they're not here, but if you're in need and you're low income and you need medicine, don't suffer alone. contact access point, and they will do whatever they can to help provide that prescription drug or the medical coverage that you need. I do know that. So there are services, and the other thing I always get, I had a woman call me last week, 84 years old, can't pay her property taxes, she's delinquent, $4,000. And she said, John, I'm just struggling to even put food on the table. And can you help me with that? I said, yep. So I pointed out to her all the different food pantry locations in Portage County. And I said, give these folks a call. And if you can still drive, or if, she had a son who was living with her, if he could drive you out to some of these places on certain, I gave her the schedule and when they do the food pantry. It's frustrating. I feel like I'm doing some good, but the frustrating part for me is that we're just stitching this together on the fly, right? There's not a comprehensive approach to any of this. One of the things I think we could do, this is to get back at your point, there should be a matrix, if you will, or if-then kind of a triage, like where you are, and if you're at this level, if you have this need, here's who you can contact. And if that's not satisfactory, then go here, and then go here, and then go here. But we need to provide, yeah, right. And, and to your point again, we don't do a good enough job of connecting all the dots at the county level in terms of the services that we provide, and we need to do that.
You call and you say your problem, and they have a list and tell you where to go. I don't know if that's still the number, but I call on that, or 411, said this is their problem, where do they go? And they go. It's 411.
The question was, is 411 still a thing? It's 211 now.
John, I thought that was a terrific overview of the presentation. I just have one thing I'd like you to add to that, which is, that answer that the legislature needs to listen. Could we also maybe have a law that they need to follow the law? How can we get that? Can we ask our county prosecutor if they would file suit against the legislature, saying, we have laws, you have to follow them. If you don't follow them, we're going to start putting you in jail.
I love that too.
Yeah. Power to the people.
I had a comment and I had a question. So first of all, I think that Portage County should hire her
Yes.
to put together that list, because she has a brain that thinks that way. She's a friend of mine and I know that she's got that brain. Second of all, I want to reiterate, thank you so much for caring about the community so much that you can keep on top of this, organize it, and deliver it to us in a way that is so understandable. Every time I hear you, I love you more and more. And you help me write my postcards that I'm going to be sending out to all of us. Yes, going to my questions. And this was a little point that it struck me when you were saying it. When the 2 decades ago, the homeowners were paying 48% of the businesses were paying 40%, whereas now we're up to 66 and how is that happening?
Yeah, a great question, and thank you for the lovely things. I did not give her any money or anything, I did not bribe her, but thank you for that. So 19 years ago, I think that the legislature thought we need to become more quote-unquote business friendly. And so they wanted to incentivize business development. So a means to an end of that goal was to promote a lower burden for commercial and business entities in the state of Ohio. And to me, that's was the beginning of the trouble. A big part of the issue was when they passed that law 19 years ago to lower it from 40% to 22% of the property tax proportion. And yes.
And Mr. Kennedy,
Yeah.
and in those 19 years, there's nothing changed about how businesses are coming to Ohio. Nothing.
Right, and I would argue that, take a look around. Do you feel as though we're just taking off in terms of business development here in the great state of Ohio? I don't think so. I don't see a lot of businesses flocking to me.
I think the answer to that question is our legislatures don't listen to the people who vote for them, they listen to the people who give them money. And that's what's got to change.
Citizens United.
Mm.
You named it.
John, I'd like your opinion about, I'm sitting here thinking, what can we do? Do you think there's any effort by, let's say, Democrats to work against the people that want to put the property tax thing on next year? Do you think it's worthwhile to have an organized effort to work against them, or should we just pretend like they don't exist?
Here's what I think, and I've told everybody this, that I've talked to about the constitutional amendment push. I think the horse is out of the barn, and especially now. And I hate to sound too negative about this, Lucy, but they didn't get enough signatures for it to be on the ballot this November, but they're certainly going to have enough to be on the ballot next year. I think there's a certain inevitability to the question. I think it is going to end up on the ballot, and if nothing dramatic happens down in Columbus by the end of next year, by election 26, then that amendment is going to pass. I think people, I understand, and I'm not saying that I understand where people are coming from. They feel like Columbus hasn't listened to them. And I don't blame them, because they haven't. Had they taken care of seniors, we wouldn't be in this mix right now. So, to answer your question directly, is there anything we can do? We can reiterate the importance of the services that the way it's structured now, as awful as it's structured now, the importance of the services themselves. And why it's so important that we have this funding for our schools, for our roads and bridges, for our EMS, for our fire, for our police, for our villages, for our townships, why all that matters. As ticked off as we are, getting rid of the whole thing, the baby with the bathwater, isn't going to solve the problem.
And I too appreciate your continued advocacy on these issues during property tax. With your letters to the editor and your continued deeds, almost everybody in Gordon County wants to leave their house. However, I'd like to comment about the 66.1% dichotomy.
Yeah.
I go to most county commission meetings on Thursdays. And last week, one of the issues was the DFS, which Children's Services and Senior Services, said, well, we'd like to add an additional new levy of 0.5% on the next ballot. And, all of the commissioners, but particularly the Senate, said, you know, we have people calling us every day, we can't afford to stay in our house, we can't afford to pay our property tax. You're driving us, you know, into the homeless community. And she said, you know, from Children's Services, she said, well, we need the money, we need the money. And as I said, well, I went ahead to 1.4%. No, we need the money. And then graciously said, well, it's an emergency, we'll think about it, and we'll, you know, make a decision. Whereas the week before, people from Greenfield Township were into the county commission, well, we have this group that's voting at, I don't know if it's a rehab center or the senior citizen assisted living center, but they're adding new buildings. They, we already, you know, on our people, we were asking for county people, we've already approved 50% tax abatement for 10 years, and then all, oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, just put it off on the rest of the residents who pay taxes. 66 versus 44. I didn't make a public comment that meeting about why are you making the poor people pay all the property taxes for this new business? Or instead of the people who have the money, and they go there and no answer that.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dalton Bozin. I'm actually from Mahoning County. I've been told about this by a friend of mine. Thank you for hosting this. I'm glad to see everybody. But especially, we can't just roll over and play dead. That's never helped. And especially saying like that solution that you talked about, like saying that we do have solutions, because we do have solutions. And I was speaking as a Democrat, I can say, yes, as Democrats, we do have solutions, and we need to keep saying those solutions, because Republicans claim to offer solutions, but they aren't. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, and at the expense of not just our immediate futures, but, I'm 30, so I hopefully have a lot more time on this earth. And that's really robbing a greater portion of my future and hopefully my children's future. So talking about all these solutions that we do have, yes, double the homestead exemption and reshifting the tax burden to bring back fair taxation in Ohio. Yes, we went from 48% to 68% share for residential property taxes. That is abhorrent. That needs to get reshifted. It needs to be equalized. Since 2005, we've had a flattening income tax in Ohio. That is a huge problem. Once again, it's like flat taxes over aggressive taxes. A rich man and a poor man eat bread, same rate. But if you only make $40,000 versus $400,000, the $2 or $3 or $4 that you spend on a loaf of bread counts a lot less proportionally against your income when you make $400,000 versus $40,000. And so people like the Haslams have been getting away with highway robbery. And it's not just that $600 million to the stadium, it's also the $2 to $3 million a year in annual maintenance that we're on the hook for. So it's a gift that keeps on giving. But all those things, we need to talk about those things as the solutions that we will bring to Columbus as Democrats to actually not just meet people where they are, but meet their needs and actually deliver for them.
Yes. Yes.
Well said.
Yes.
I do have two more questions.
Yeah.
When the lady from Children's Services was talking about her 0.5% new additional levy, she said, why can't go on and bring in? Because I don't have enough information. I mean, we've been collecting the new taxes for a year now, from February, July. Is there any way to determine what the base rate is? and how much of a package that lobby would bring in? And the second question is, that delinquency gone up in percentage wise?
I'll answer the last question first. So, my prediction has always been that delinquencies, we're gonna see a uptick in them in Portage County. I imagine all 88 are gonna see upticks, but you may not see the real big uptick until next year. That's when I think it's going to hit. So we might go up a percentage or two in 2025. We normally are 4 to 5% delinquency rate. We were at 6 first half, and I think we'll still be around 6. Don't quote me on that. I know I'm in the public here, but that could change. Every uptick in 1% is a lot of people. It's a lot of humans who have been impacted by this. More people in distress. The whole human in distress. Property tax, one small piece of all the stuff that we as humans deal with day to day to try to get up.
Yep.
A quick suggestion. When I was working with, well, we never had interns, so I started an intern program. So we had interns, case managers, we had people from education come in, several different majors and departments. Get a hold of them, say, after you, see if you can get some interns, say, I understand your concern, I'm gonna switch you over to this person that can give you the resources that you need. You don't have to pay anybody.
Great.
Volunteers do it.
That's a great suggestion.
I will volunteer.
Yeah. I'll take you up on that.
Yes.
What do you have to do to qualify for homestead?
Okay, what you have to do to qualify for homestead. So 65 and older. Okay, not you, right? You still have a few more years. And your income, less Social Security, has to be 40,000 or less. Okay? So if you meet that criteria, you can get a benefit of $25,000 off the valuation of your property. And that's helpful. That shaves off, depending on how much your property is valued at, the taxable value drops $25,000. That's not insignificant. Yeah. I'm running pretty good, actually.
So basically, he's not eligible for homestead, so he's going to be paying for him. So it's just reshifted, and I mean, it's going.
You're redistributing the wealth right now. You heard the question. Are you redistributing the money, the revenue that comes in that you would normally pay if you're not 65? Yeah, I guess you could call it that. That you are helping out seniors in a limited way, but meaningful. And it could be a whole hell lot more meaningful if we double the impact of it. And my argument would be, we gotta take care of our seniors. They've been putting in for 65 plus years, well, a little bit less than that. They became adults and they started working and paying property taxes. They've been putting in to the system for decades. And I think for all of that, you deserve some relief. You deserve a bit of a break. You got your house paid off. All you're doing is paying the property taxes. But still, sometimes that property tax money, the value of the house is going up 34, 35%. Your property tax is going up, and if you're just getting by, or maybe you're on a new medication, you're not in the best health, every dollar matters. That's why they call it fixed income. Yeah.
And when we did get a raise in
Medicare, or in Social Security, Medicare, and it takes it.
So we don't get raises like.
Right.
So this also suggests that really, as part of the community, I can project pretty well, but as part of the community, we need to start finding ways to take care of each other as well, and not just the government. I mean, the government does need to take care of us because that's why we pay in our taxes. But we also need to, as groups,
Yes.
start saying, okay, how can we take care of people? How can we make sure people can get their houses repaired if that's part of the problem? How can we get people who are ill and need the help?
And I'm turning it over to you, don't you think that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense?
Yes, and I think just meeting the south end of town, having a meeting, and getting those resources out, having those available, when they have council meetings every few months, or Turner, frequently out from the south end. I went to one of the meetings, but no one had any paperwork. No one had resources. I mean, we had health department, they were fire department, it was, we had, several different entities that represented different services, but no one had anything that you could take with them or find out about, like, here's my number, here's my card. I'm like, where's your resource, Dave?
Yeah, we need, the point is a really good one. In Portage County, I think we are truly blessed with a ton of resources, and agencies and nonprofits, but people don't even know about them. And it takes effort to connect and navigate all those loose ends. And people get lost in the shuffle. And that we can fix. That's a fixable problem, right?
Can we go back to my first question about determining what the new tax base is? Can the auditor do that?
Yeah, the auditor takes care of that, and the state takes care of that. That's where the treasurer's office, we collect. Auditor, they're the ones who determine what the tax rates are, and that's, a lot of that is dictated in Ohio revised code as well. Have I taken up more than the time?
I think that you've warned people out here. All right, thank you all for coming. This was our third presentation from the Portage County Democrats Club, along with the Portage County Democrat Party. Our goal really is to do nonpartisan things to help connect the community, because we are all people in this community. And so our next presentation is going to be talking to the average voter. That's actually in 1 week, and ways to de-escalate. So if people are getting angry, irritated, they're the opposite opinion of yours, how do you go and kind of de-escalate that and actually still get into a conversation? We have DJ Ayres coming in, he's running for Kent School Board. For September, we're going to be having veterans issues and how the current government and funding and all this is affecting them. Our veterans have given so much, and we have a huge population of veterans that really need care. And then the following month, in October, we're going to be doing about healthcare and what's going on with the services for mental health, for your medical care. As we know, the cuts aren't coming through until before the election in 2026. It'll be after that. So nobody's going to feel the hurt of it until then. But there are resources, as Mr. Kenny was explaining, in this community to go and get people some health care so we can get a safety net for when this happens.
Where do we get a list of all those videos?
So generally we have them on Mobilize app. The other thing is you can go to the Portage County Democrats Club. We put up things on our website. It will be on our Facebook page. And they're also at the Portage County Democrats website and on their calendar. There's a lot of events going on in Portage County right now, and we are really very excited about how many people are coming in and mobilizing this organization. Yes.
May I suggest you get a list of those and offer to the portager at least?
I always send a press release to them for every one of them. So, yes, right?
You have a list back there of people with their email addresses, so that's the way we can make sure they.
Yes.
Yes, that's the other thing.
Make sure you put your email address back.
We have a very large list of volunteers and everything that are managed by the Portage County Democrats. So I'm very excited about that and grateful for everyone who's come out for this, and thank you so much for coming. Have a great day.
Thank you for that. Oh, that's okay.
But we do have all of you running around.
This video is going to be available on the internet.